Um, all right. Leonora Carrington was born in 19, she died in 2011. So she lived 94 years. And it's quite a story. Um, she was, it's kind of like weird, like you couldn't write a more interesting story about a person's life. Um, she was born in England to a wealthy textile manufacturer, nouveau riche. So that was part of it, was that it was her father was very ambitious to, you know, uh, attain, I guess, the highest levels of society. And so there's a lot of pressure on Leonora, who was the only girl she had three brothers. And so she was so rebellious, and she got kicked out of these schools, and they put her in a religious school once, a convent. Um, and then her mom gave her some, of course, this always happens. The mom gives her a little watercolor set, and then that changes everything. And then she ended up going to these art schools. She went to, like, briefly, one in Italy, France, London, where she learned this egg tempera technique.
Hmm.
And that was the training that really led her to really be a real craftsperson uh, in her art. And then when she was 20, she was always already aware of the Surrealist movement. She had this book on Surrealism, but then she went to a show, I guess. And she had seen a Max Ernst painting that kind of knocked her out. And then she met him at a party or something in London, and they fell in love like immediately. She was 20, he was 26 years older, and married. And then they went back to Paris, and then her father was just furious, and he wanted to get him Max arrested. Uh, that didn't happen, but she never really, she never saw, I don't think she ever saw her father again or her mother. She completely cut off from her family for the rest of her life. Um, so in Paris, like Joan said, they were hanging out with all of the surrealists. Of course, Max was famous. Um, and his wife didn't take too kindly to this affair, and they actually got into a public fight. The two women um, sounded pretty ugly, and that's when they realized that they needed to get out of Paris. So they went down to south of France and bought this uh, house in a rural community, and they made it into this incredible artistic uh, place, sculptures and all kinds of stuff. But it didn't last that long because uh, the occupation started, and he got arrested by the French, but then he got out after a few months. During that time, uh, she was allowed to visit him maybe a couple times a week. But then when he got released, not long after he got released, the Gestapo arrested him again. And this time, like, he was going to go to a camp. He did go to a camp. I'm not sure what kind of camp, prison camp, whatever it was, but she didn't see him again. Well, she did see him later. I got that wrong in my letter, actually, the history. So he was gone, and then she was just beside herself, and she didn't know what to do. She was really on the edge. And her friend convinced her to go to Madrid. She sold the house and they went to Madrid. And then she had like a nervous breakdown. And somewhere in there, she got raped by the some Spanish soldiers. And I'm not sure, they didn't even mention this in the Wikipedia thing I'm reading. Um, so I think that might have, you know, contributed to the breakdown when she entered into this asylum in Spain that her parents thought was a good place. It was actually a horrible place. And they were using drugs on her. They were giving her electroshock therapy. It was horrible. And she managed or she was released from there. Was she released or did she escape? I think she was released, but then her parents wanted her to, go to this sanatorium in South Africa. And on the way down, they were in Lisbon, and she saw this guy she knew, Renato Leduc, this Mexican diplomat who she had met in Paris, who was a friend of Picasso's. And she started telling him what was going on. And then he said, what if we get married and we go to Mexico? This will enable you to get out and go to Mexico. It was a marriage of convenience, they say. However, it was more than that. Initially, maybe it was, but then it became more than that. So then they didn't go to Mexico. They went to New York. When they went to New York, they were there with all the expats from Europe, all the surrealists, all the artists, they were all there. And then Max was there with Peggy Guggenheim, who he married in 41. And so they reunited, but they were both married to different people. And yet they still had this. I mean, she was totally in love with him. He was the great love of her life, according to what her memoir says, or her children say, whatever. And they ended up just remaining friends. And then eventually, though, she was only there a year or two, I think. And then they decided, her and her husband, to move to Mexico City. I think he needed to return there. So that started her life in Mexico City, and she befriended Remedios Varo, who was from Spain, and also her other best friend was uh, Katie Horna, the Hungarian photographer. And they were like these, they were all into the spiritual stuff. They would go to talks by Peter Ouspensky and Gurdjieff. There was a real thriving scene down there in Mexico City. It was very international.
Oh,
A lot of artists and intellectuals, and then there was, Frida Kahlo and the muralists. And Frida Kahlo she called them those European bitches. I guess because they had their little clique, I guess. of the European artists. And so Frida was probably in this other clique of the native people. And it doesn't show there's a lot of overlap with those artists, although they must have seen each other quite a bit. So that's where she spent most of her life. And then at some point, I think it was in the early 60s. So she had her children, her two boys, and her two boys were in college. At the time of the Tlatelolco, something like that, massacre in Mexico, it was 1968, where 300 students were killed by the government. And at which point she left with her sons, because she was very outspoken. And she was afraid for her safety and her family's safety. And they went to New York. They also came to Chicago, and they didn't return till in the 90s, I guess. Or she did go back once in a while, but not permanently until she came back in 93 to Mexico City. And then she died there in Mexico City. There's just so much information. There's more here as we look. So here she is as a young woman. Interesting photo of, you really see her
Yeah.
seriousness, her strength. Yeah, amazing stare there, her dignity. These are really early on. So she's 18 years old.
Wow.
She was also, already at that age, she was just really skilled. And she did this series of the Sisters of the Moon. And this was the Fantasia. So yeah, early on, like this interest in, fairy realms, the Cid was, or the she was a part of her background, Celtic history. And you see the ears there. And then this is what they say is her first major work. Quite one of her more famous pieces. And she loved horses. She rode a lot as a child. So that was one of her fond memories of her childhood. And then uh, it was kind of like her alter ego, the white horse. And it's interesting how this is like a rocking horse. They say it might have been something from her childhood that she had a white horse, rocking horse. And then this kind of would represent her freedom. And then the hyena was also a kind of mythological friend, because when she I didn't tell you about the debutante story. When she was they her parents wanted her to go to the debutante ball in London, that the king and queen did for the elites, and she did, but it almost killed her. She couldn't stand it. So she wrote a story about it right afterwards. And in the story, it's called The Debutante. And the hyena um, took her to the ball and exchanged places with her, was wearing a mask or something. Um, I don't exactly know what he represents here, but the thing was, she didn't want you to know. She didn't talk about her work. She didn't explain anything about her work. And she didn't like to talk about it. Then the portrait of Max Ernst, um, that he did a portrait of her, which they ended up exchanging in New York. Um, and then this is down below, the name of her book, the name of the painting. This looks like it's just straight up oil paint. Um, it's almost hard to look at this. It's so intense, so dark.
Mhm.
And interesting that she's
So weird.
so weird. She's wearing a mask, but then she's also holding the mask. Yeah. So painful. Like, my God. All right.
Wait, I want to say something about that
Oh,
painting.
sure, sure.
So you said earlier that this is the part of her life where she was in a mental asylum.
Well, this is a painting that is the same name as the book. And so the down below refers to the going down to this horrible dark space, I think.
I just think that the idea of wearing a mask as kind of like associated with mental illness is the idea that you're one person and then you're another person, like you're not yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of interesting. I mean, there's a lot more symbols in this painting, but I just find that interesting with the masks.
Yeah. Well, the Surrealists were very into masks. They were very into, uh, and she carried that on into her family life later on. And yeah, the Surrealists could talk about it more. I didn't really mention that, but here, okay, so here's Andre Breton on the left, who was kind of the father of Surrealism, and then he wrote the Surrealist Manifesto, I believe, Marcel Duchamp, and then Max Ernst, and then her with this huge, like, vegetable between her legs, looks like, or two, carrot.
Mhm.
And this would have been taken in New York. So when they reunited, they were all in New York City. And then that's a Morris Hirschfeld painting, who was probably just starting to get known. He was a naive artist. And this whole thing with the what mannequin was also a prop that they used. And it's the Surrealists had this kind of not a very good uh, ideas about women in a sense of sexuality. Um, and she kind of wanted to distance herself from that. But anyways, they were so anti everything. This whole movement was started in the 30s, I believe. So it was between the wars, basically. And it was it had to do with also the Dada movement, which was basically anything associated with civilization was ridiculous. And that includes all the sciences. I mean, they just thought it was all a joke, basically. And so they were trying to embrace absurdity, embrace the they did automatic writing, they did automatic drawing, which means you don't know what's going to happen, you just do it. They embraced all of these intuitive means of expression. Okay, now here, this is like into her, I would guess, mature phase. I wish I knew when her children were born. I don't have that, but she did a lot of, actually, she did a ton of painting when she was pregnant and her kids were small. Somehow the muse really kicked in for her when her kids were young. She did a lot of painting, but her children say she was a really good mom too. So I don't know how she did it, but she didn't have any other life. I mean, she was basically a recluse. She was like a monk. Anyways, this painting is quite amazing. Yeah. There is a lot of like the childlike whimsy. Also some dark, wow. It seems like there's so much symbolism, but then again, she didn't like to talk about it. So it's like, I think she just kind of she says that it was really an intuitive process. Like she didn't know, it was just, okay, she didn't plan it, I don't think, that much. I don't know. I know at least she talked about color that way, that she did it totally by feel. Oh, that feels right, that doesn't. But I love the way this piece, the colors work so well together. For Carrington, humanity was a seductive costume donned by dummies. To step out of the costume risked deranging the self that one unthinkingly inhabited, courting madness, the dissolution of the belief in the human world as the arbiter of reality. But it was also to draw closer to great nature in the quest for a new liberating art. This was from an article I read in the New Yorker. Humps of the subsoil. So her children would have been born by now. And this was all coming out of that, a lot of it kind of coming out of that, and not a great reproduction. Better than the other one I had. So. This one I hadn't seen before. Again, the Gemini are in the orchard. Wow. So there's all these twins. There's three on the horse.
Mm.
Whoa, what is going on in there?
Above the head is really far out.
What's that?
The part above the head is really far out.
You mean this?
Or above the whatever at the top of the painting,
This?
above it.
Oh, that. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
The whole thing is pretty far out.
Oh,
Oh yeah, an upside down person.
yeah.
What's really interesting about the double, because does is it Jung or somebody says in a dream if you have two of something that it's calling your attention to it.
I don't know.
That's a dream symbol thing.
Huh.
And three, huh?
These kind of look like men and these kind of look like women. So
Um,
that's interesting. Wow.
that is a really far out one. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's see. There's another. So this is the giantess. And like I was saying, the white goddess was a big influence. And so this is supposed to be, they say, a goddess, but she's kind of like a child goddess. And she's got this wheat hair,
Yeah.
which you can't really see there. And she's got a very young face. And then she's holding the egg.
Oh,
And I wonder, so all they're also into alchemy. I'm sure Carl Jung. Um, and so they're saying that the egg symbolizes like life or something, like the fragility and the beauty of life. And then there's all the animals, and you can't really see what's going on, but it's basically like mankind doing its thing, but then she's like protecting the life.
hmm.
It's too bad you can't see what all that is too. Um, Art is not a luxury, it is a lifeline for the soul.
Mm.
Um, some kind of a cutout or sculpture.
Mm.
Does anybody know what Fina Mosca means? The title?
No, I don't. Let's see what we can see here. Yeah, it's almost like some Egyptian types hieroglyphs and wow. She also had like a really whimsical, funny sense of humor. Um, I love this thing going on here.
Yeah.
What is that, like a tree trunk, or what is that brown thing?
Well, um, this head has feet. Those look like feet to me,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
like
Me too.
animal feet.
Oh, I see. So that's all part of the head, the top part.
Yeah, right. Or the head or the hat. I don't know which.
Oh, yeah. Like a kind of unusual hat over the face. Huh.
And there's the buffalo on both sides.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love those. Yeah, I mean the combination of that soft whimsy with this intense um kind of pagan ritualistic stuff is so powerful
Oh,
because it's like I don't know, balance of masculine and feminine or something.
uh-huh.
Like he's looking through the window. Don't forget about me.
Oh, the snake goes through the wall.
Yeah. It goes through the wall, but then the space up here is totally flattened. Um, it's it's interesting
Yeah.
use of space. And then it looks like the snake is actually raised up on these little, or no, it's going through these things.
Are they pins?
Yeah, like it's in a museum, kind of.
Yeah, they're pinned.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm. Wow.
I love this one.
Um, the paint, it's nicely painted.
Yeah. I like the composition and the colors. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is impossible to understand how millions and millions of people all obey a sickly collection of gentlemen that call themselves government.
Oh,
The word I expect frightens people. It is a form of planetary hypnosis and very unhealthy. It has been going on for years, I said, and it only occurred to relatively few to disobey and make what they call revolutions. If they won their revolutions, which they occasionally did, they made more governments, sometimes more cruel and stupid than the last. Men are very difficult to understand, said Carmela. Let's hope they all freeze to death. So that's from her novel, The Hearing Trumpet.
oh, that's pretty feminist.
Okay, this is one of her masterpieces that she was actually commissioned by the anthropology anthropology museum in Mexico City to do this really big canvas mural on the history of the the magical world of the Mayans. And it also shows how well known she had become, that they asked her to do this mural. And she did quite a lot of research. She spent a lot of time in Chiapas with the Mayans, I guess, and also with an anthropologist. So there's a lot of symbolism, which I don't know, but she studied the Popol Vuh, which was, is the mystical book of the Mayans. Um,
Oh,
um, so yeah, we can't really make it out from this vantage point.
there's a snake again.
Like it's it's interesting, like she's got the underworld going on. Um uh wow. Really amazing painting. There's a shot I have here. Can see better here, actually.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Gee.
Wow, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. Yeah, she was very, she's inspired by Hieronymus Bosch and Paulo Uccello, the early Renaissance painters.
What was the last one you said? Cello?
Paulo Uccello, I think
Okay.
it's Ucello.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, this is amazing. Wow. Somehow I'm thinking of Chagall because I know Chagall murals. There's something similar about, he'd have these symbols floating in this open space. That red sky, God. So Edward James was a wealthy collector who collected her work and other surrealists. And I guess I think he did something on the other side of this. Um, but this, do you see like the figure of the woman here? And then the animals are just delineating her figure.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, let's see.
wow, it's like the mother goddess, the nature goddess. Um, that's how kind of what it's saying to me.
I love the clouds across her face.
Yeah, I love the colors in this one and the different textures.
Mm.
Another one of her well-known pieces. So that's her two boys. And they're being witness to this strange thing.
Well, there's a dancer over there.
Yeah, very mysterious, kind of death-like figure. All these orbs everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Art should never be tamed. It should be a wild flame that consumes everything it touches.
So for me.
The title.
Yeah, I like the title.
Mm.
All those eyes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Solar megalomania. I think, is this maybe a tarot card, or she did a tarot deck? But this one is like the card for, like, insane patriarchy or something.
I think the tarot deck is extremely expensive. I think I looked it up.
Oh, really? I've got it in here later.
I'm not sure, but I have to go back and look at that. There was some reason why it was hard to get or expensive or something.
So I guess she did the set and costumes for this play in Mexico City, I presume. Um,
Mm.
Tree of Life. Like, I did a double take on this because, like, oh, where's the Tree of Life? Like,
Mhm.
but it's all she has are these little um limbs there, and then it's there. It's like it's just the spiritual or the
Like the
chakra.
chakras, right?
Yeah.
Where are the limbs?
Well, right there's these little
Branches.
branches. I mean, yeah, there.
Uh-huh.
So they are emanating from here. Um,
Hmm.
Hard to tell that looks like a figure, and then
Mhm.
yeah, there's another one there.
Yeah, there's
Oh, it's an
three. Mhm.
this is
Yeah,
an upside down head.
yeah.
Yeah. They look all male and then female on top, maybe. Oh, that's kind of an androgynous.
Yeah.
It's got such a beautiful emanation.
That's like the spiritual light or something. It's coming.
Right, the crown of the tree,
Oh,
I guess.
and then going down.
Right.
Maybe not down. Maybe it's, but whatever. Those bright yellow things. And the
Oh,
animal, that lion or that winged creature on the left at the bottom, the big one, all the way down. It looks like it's totally in the spirit world. It's like the way its eyes are.
well, what about that one?
Uh-huh, yeah, they look like they're in another realm.
Oh, these people have feet, and it's like they're dancing
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, this looks like Kabbalah here.
Oh,
This is the Kabbalistic tree of life.
it is. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
And
that's what the tree of life is there.
yeah.
Oh,
And they were studying Kabbalah.
oh, sure, yeah.
And everything really. So
Anything, anything esoteric.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that totally makes the whole thing make sense now.
Yeah, I wish I had my Kabbalah book out. We could talk about this forever then. So
Which they probably did, but
yeah. Well,
it-
geez, it's amazing painting. The emanation is so strong.
yeah. Huh.
Maybe, I mean, who knows? It's not true color, but it's pretty amazing. All
Huh.
right. So a couple of her sculptures. This is a museum, I think, for her.
Oh. Hmm.
And her sculpture is quite well known in Mexico. Um,
Well,
Evidently, she's like, like as big as Frida Kahlo in Mexico.
well,
Anyway, art making is a magic which makes the hours melt away and even days dissolve into seconds. Isn't that so, dear lady? Well, from one of her short stories.
That's true.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. This one we can't really make it out. It's I just to show you how she was mapping the map of a human animal, all this esoteric stuff.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
75. She's 50, 58. This one's on a skin, or no, it says vellum. That maybe it's vellum to look like a skin. Um,
Hmm.
wow.
Those fingers. Hmm. Dowling, or however you say that.
Yeah. Of the holy grass.
Ooh, I like that one. I like how it's simpler, it's like
Yeah.
that purple. Were people using purple very much in those years?
I think, well, I don't know what year this is, but this seemed to be a motif that she used, the four petaled sweet.
What is that? It's so weird. The creature looking at that head. Whoa, no, eating out of a spoon? Or
Yeah, he's feeding the white elephant.
that's an elephant?
Oh, okay, no, it could be a pig or a boar or something.
Yeah, right.
That's not an elephant, no. A wild boar, or
Yeah, or yeah.
I'm not interested in being understood. I'm interested in being felt.
Ugh.
Monet said the same thing. Here's the tarot deck.
Oh,
Or at least some of it.
It's so much simpler than the paintings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool.
mhm.
Uh, a later work, 87. Well, she's still got a ways to go, actually. But crone flower. So there's that weird flower. And there's all these old women. So the similar to, I guess, the Hearing Trumpet novel, or maybe just her little clan of witches.
Hmm.
She's got this
Huh.
animal on her back.
Oh, there's someone going up this. That whole thing on the steps is really interesting.
Right.
Another story, like a story there.
Wow,
I love this, the white around her eyes.
I love the way that the wrinkles are kind of morphing into something else, like
Mm.
um their eyes are so intense and alive.
Really. It's
It's
almost
very I just like the wisdom of age. Kind of, she's really giving that its due, right?
yeah. It's
Like you don't, yeah, go ahead.
it's nice to see that, and it's unusual. You're right. I think that to really pay attention to that and focus on it, you know, and I was gonna say it's like it's old looking and modern looking.
Yeah,
Kind of funny that way. It's very good at getting a timeless kind of art there.
yeah. And the animals are also wise.
Oh,
Like they're all a part of it.
oh,
That one's really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I sort of hear her saying now, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're talking to me, right?
I just sort of hear her say that about this. She's like, don't overthink it. That's
But I know, but I'm just trying to like give language to my feelings about it. It's so evocative. Um, so interesting. See that little cat head over there?
No.
Right there?
Oh yeah. Barely. It's
There's
like
also a cat shadow on the ground to the right. Yeah, there.
oh, a big one.
Yeah. There's
Oh yeah, here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you didn't see that. That's one big cat there.
Uh, yeah, really. It's like, I like the one with the red hat there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland or something. It's like there's some feeling of this, like, I don't know, that kind of world.
And also, she's very Mayan in the sense that
Yeah.
she's small, she's got these bare feet, she's wearing that hat, she's smoking.
Yeah.
Strikes me as very native. Yeah,
This person peering through the curtain there
right.
is like a different from all the elderly
Oh, yeah,
women.
Yeah,
looks younger, huh?
yeah, younger, like the younger world looking into the older.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you look at the people on the steps when you're done with that?
The steps.
Yeah, over to the right.
Well, I can't get closer.
Because I'm trying to figure out if they're younger or older.
Uh,
Almost seems like a child running up the
yeah,
stairs.
that's what I'm
And
thinking.
then a big shadow is, I don't know, kind of reflects some of the old women.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the youth and the old age together.
Uh,
Key Symphony 2002.
I thought you said she died in 97.
No, she didn't die till 2011.
Well, that's right. That's it.
Yeah, a little bit of music going on here. And then this, I guess that's the year she died. So
wow, she did that in her 90s?
according to this,
Huh.
very much the same people, horses.
What is,
Interesting, like the wintry feel, kind of like maybe it's like death calling or this very cold piece.
this person all the way to the right on the horse? Is that a person with a mask or a headdress on?
Well, don't really know.
I can't tell. I think it is. That's her back, right? Yeah.